This is Tony Hendrick, and this is Painting Spirit. I'm getting my palette ready, getting something on the canvas. So today's topic I thought of this morning. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about till I got up this morning, and I think I'm going to talk about receiving inspiration and what that looks like. So if you can think of a time when you felt really inspired, had that energy, that excitement for something, and just get yourself into that space of remembering that specific time that just comes to your mind. And once you're there, I'm going to do the same and see where I go with this. So I think for me, it's really about finding where the energy is. It seems to me that we're always receiving inspiration. Might not be the inspiration we're looking for, always. But it feels like to me that we're always receiving information. So it's really about finding where the energy is for the inspiration that you're receiving, because you can feel around for it. A lot of times we have automatic places where we receive inspiration, and those are our go-to places, but sometimes the energy isn't always there. An example would be, I love to go out on nature hikes, and it's an easy way for me to receive inspiration. It's just something that automatically happens. It's because I have something to respond to. That's another important aspect to it. You want to find something that's you're interested in, obviously, but those go-to places aren't always accessible. Like right now, I'm not going to go out on a hike. For one thing, it's 7 a.m. in the morning, and it's winter out, even though it looks like I went outside a little bit yet this morning and felt like it's a little warmer in the air, so it might be a nice day to go for a hike. So I didn't know what I was going to talk about this morning, and my cat and dog got me up a little bit earlier than usual. So as I was pondering the topic for today, I realized I had a little more time to get set up this morning. And so the energy was there for me to pull up a photo from a hike. And so that's what I'm actually working from right now. So it's going to be a little bit different than what it's been for the last 5 days. Community has been a huge thing for me in receiving inspiration. I love to collaborate with others. And they don't actually have to be artists themselves. If it's a commission, I showed a mural I was working on in the studio yesterday, and the lady who commissioned it isn't an artist necessarily. She's a writer, so she's an artist in her own medium. But that was her idea, to do a forest floor on her foundation. And I had photos from a trip I made to Vancouver several years ago, and never really used those photos for creating some art, but they were perfect for what it was that I was wanting to accomplish for her mural. So a lot of times inspiration can come and go, and so at the time I was inspired to take these photos in Vancouver, and those photos sat for years unused, and then the energy for using them, the timing, came about at a perfect time for me to use. So that's a lot of times the way receiving does work, receiving inspiration. And I'm going to let myself just get into this painting a little bit and see if a little more that I can talk about receiving. One thing I was getting at with community is a lot of times I get inspiration from other people. So working on these large mural projects is a place for that to happen. You know, we have images in our mind about what receiving inspiration is supposed to be like. One that comes to my mind, and maybe you can help me out because this is a vague memory, but maybe you might remember it. It seems like there was some Sesame Street character, like a Guy Smiley type character or something, who was trying to write a song on the piano and kept banging his head on the piano. Am I getting that memory right? Comment if you remember it, what I'm talking about. So we have these images in our head of what inspiration is. It's supposed to be a struggle for the artist to get inspired, and oh, it's just not coming, and it's not coming, and where is it? And well, that can be maybe just a story you're telling yourself, and it doesn't necessarily have to look that way. Maybe something doesn't actually happen. One of the reasons I haven't done this way of painting yet, for myself talking and painting at the same time, because it's a bit of a challenge to do for me to talk, but I like the challenge, and that's part of inspiration too. Is if you've got a go-to way of getting inspired, sometimes it can get a bit boring after a while, so you lose the energy for it. So for me anyway, I like to have a little bit of a challenge, not too much of a challenge where I just get discouraged, but just enough of a challenge, which this is this morning, working on a landscape painting. I don't know if you can sort of see basically just working with the highlights and the colors and getting some interesting colors going. You can sort of see it coming together a little bit. Right now I'm holding probably 11 brushes in my hand. Because the way I'm painting this morning is a little bit different than the abstract painting I was doing earlier this week. So one of the ways that I keep my brushes fresh so I can work the color wet, because that's what's happening right now. Everything is wet. So I'm painting this in a 15-minute span. So in order to keep my colors fresh, having several brushes in my hand helps me to do that. One of the ways you can create space in a painting is if all the brushwork is looking the same, kind of gets flattened out. So changing the brushwork. Kind of starts to create some dimensionality to it. So I've got all these intense colors. If you were to look at the photograph that I'm working from right now, you're not going to really see these reds. But what's nice about it is, because I am working this quickly, it can create some dramatic dimensional qualities to the painting right away. Just kind of feeling my way into the space. I think I'm going to bring this stuff forward, so I just plopped a huge amount of phthalo green on my brush there, and putting some white with it brings out that intensity of the color. So you see how that worked there? It was just a big glob of phthalo green. So there's my timer. I'll go into a little bit on modern colors. There's these colors like phthalo green that have an intensity to them when you add white to them. They really pop. And those are your modern colors. They're the colors I actually tend to use on my palette because it's easier to do stuff like I just did there. But your cadmiums and your earthier colors, and you add white to them, they don't really do that whole popping thing. See that still has the intensity there. Okay, well, looks like it has some kind of a feel to it. It's fresh, like it. And this completes my first full week of doing this. If you've enjoyed it, please share, comment if you like, and get your own brushes out and play around this weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.